The value of the discriminant is going to tell us how many solutions there are in a quadratic equation. So remember, in a quadratic equation, if you have two x-intercepts, that means you have two solutions. One x-intercept means you have one solution, and if there are no x-intercepts, it means you have no solutions. The discriminant is a number value that you're going to get that's going to tell you how many solutions you have. So if your discriminant is positive, that means you have two solutions. For a discriminant that equals 0, it means you have one solution. And if there's a discriminant that's a negative number, that means there are no solutions. So how is this meaningful in real life? So here's a silly situation that can be used to illustrate when we might be curious about our discriminant values. So you have two people fixing a roof. The person on the roof forgot a tool that they need, and the person on the ground throws the tool up to the person on the roof. Now, remember, you're not going to be throwing tools around. That's a very bad situation, but it's just a way for us to show what our discriminant could show us. So the question is, how many chances does the person on the roof have to catch the tool? So this is where the person's hand is. We're going to think about that as being our x-axis. Okay, so if we look at this, I missed it a little bit there. Let me try again. We'll start right at his hand, okay, and right at his hand here. So imagine that line is your x-axis. If you look at this picture up here, we can see that he has two chances to catch that tool. He could catch it on the way up or on the way down. In this scenario, the person throws it just high enough to reach their hand one time, so there would be one solution or one chance to catch the tool. And down here, the toss doesn't even go high enough that they could catch it once, so there would be no solutions or no chances to catch the tool. Okay, so what is a discriminant? The discriminant is part of our quadratic formula. It's the part of our quadratic formula that is under our radical symbol. Now, we're not going to use the square root symbol for this. We're just going to do the mathematical part that's underneath it. So the formula for your discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So what we do is we take our equation, an equation that's in standard form, and what we're going to do is we're going to identify our a, b, and c values. Okay, so our a value is 1, our b value is 3, our c value is negative 4, and then we're going to use this formula. So b squared minus 4ac. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my b value, which is 3, so I'm going to do 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 4. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my calculator. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean for that to pop up there in the way. All right, I'm going to clear it here, clear it, and I'm going to do 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times, and I always put my negative numbers in parentheses here, times negative 4, and I'm going to hit enter. And what we find is our discriminant here is 25. Now 25 is a positive number. All we care about is whether this number is positive, negative, or equals 0. And since it's a positive number, that means that this quadratic equation would have two solutions. All right, so let's try this next one here. So again, it's in standard form already. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify our a, our b, and our c, and then we're going to use our formula, b squared minus 4ac. So my b squared value, b is 12, so I'm going to do negative 12 squared, remember we're going to put that in parentheses, minus 4 times a times c. Okay, and then we're going to take our calculator again. All right, and we're going to do our negative 12 squared. Again, put this in parentheses. Negative 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is 9. We're going to hit enter. This time we got an answer of 0. If your discriminant value is 0, what that means is you have one solution. So if we were to graph this or solve this, we would only have one solution. Now in our last case here, I want you to notice this is not in standard form. So we have to put it in standard form, which means we need to move this over to the other side, make it equal to 0. So we're going to have x squared minus 5x plus 9 equals 0. Okay, and then we're going to identify our a, b, and c values. So a is 1, b is negative 5, c is 9. We're going to look at our formula, and now we're going to plug in. So my b squared is negative 5, so negative 5 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 9. So when I plug this into my calculator, we're going to put our negative 5 in parentheses, so negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9. When we do this, we get a negative value. Okay? If you get a negative value, negative 11, that means there are going to be no solutions. Okay? Your discriminant is negative. It means there's going to be no solutions. Hopefully this makes sense to you, because think about it. This is the value that would be under our square root symbol. And we've already talked about it. We're not allowed to take a square root of a negative number. So once we got that, we would know there are no solutions. Okay? So positive discriminant, 2 solutions. Discriminant that equals 0 is 1 solution. Negative discriminant is no solutions.